to put these things in my name and see what happens. And I was able to get everything in my name with no deposits. So that was a blessing in itself. So I was like, thank you, Lord, for that. Because we did not have the money to spare for that at all. Another blessing again is, all three of my godchildren are here. And that is a blessing. And to speak to Omi's testimony, I think the word is when they're kids, I noticed that when it's two of them, they act a certain way. But you put all three of them together, the dynamic changes. It's almost like it's a complete fit. It's not perfect when all three are not there. And that's the same with the three godchildren. When Ari came back, the dynamic just switched. And it was just better. So, I know that she missed her brother and sister, and they missed her dearly as well. And to have them together and playing and Ari being Ari, and Jordan and Ava just really just settling down and just embracing their sister like that, it's been a blessing just to see, because she's been away for so long, and we all just missed her so much, and to see them together again, it's just blessed my heart. So I thank God for that. I thank God for my health, although I'm still I'm wearing this Fitbit now, but it's still hard to do the small things, like holding a child and praying and worship at the same time, sweating and carrying on, because the pneumonia is still kind of working its way out of my system. But to be able to do that, where I wasn't able to do it a week ago, is a blessing. So God is continuing to strengthen my immune system and give me back my energy and give me back my stamina so I can do things. To be able in this pollen season, this last week, I was going almost every day doing stuff. That was a blessing. I'm knocked out right now upstairs, wheezing and carrying on, but He sustained me through that. So I've just been blessed all day one week. And then to make matters even better, when we took Noah out of school, y'all know that's a block schedule, which means he gets a full credit for one semester, similar to college. And in Gwinnett County, there are basically no block schedules. It's all half a credit per semester. So basically, when I called the school up the street, they pretty much told me that he's going to redo the whole four classes. They don't do that. But you may want to see if Peachtree Ridge would give him a permission to transfer. It's kind of late in the year, not for business out there, and his grades weren't perfect, and they don't take grades under I think a C+ or something like that for a permission to transfer. So I'm like, oh my God, they're going to deny the transfer just based on that, And I know it's not all his fault because of the bullying and stuff he does with the school. How can you focus on academics when you got all the stuff going on? But at the same time, it is what it is. So I'm like, Lord, how am I going to do this? And she was like, just plead your case. They're probably going to deny you, but plead your case anyway. Well, I heard the probably thing before, and I was like, I'm not really feeling that. So I just wrote this long letter explaining everything to the assistant principal, because I had to go through her. She called me 5 minutes later, and she said to me, I understand the situation. I said, I'm not going to lie to you. His grades aren't perfect, but he's going to work hard. He will bring the grades up. That situation is no longer in his view, then he'll be able to focus on his grades and get his work done. And she was like, I'm gonna let this transfer go. This is the only time I've ever done this. But your son can come to my school. And I was able to register him the next day to go to that school. So God has just been working things out. And I'm so excited, because that was my main nervousness about moving here, is him losing those credits. No, I was like, for him, I don't want him to, it's like I said, it's partially his fault, but it's not his fault. And I don't want him to lose those credits over some mess, So I was really asking God to open the door for us to do it. It literally takes me about 12 minutes to get there if we leave on time. So it's not even that far. It's like 2 exits up on 85. So traffic coming back is another story, but the traffic going is not that bad. So I'm glad, and I'm just blessed beyond measure. This house is a blessing. Unlike the other house, I actually feel settled here. I wouldn't even undo my mom's, china. You were sitting in the boxes in the other house, and I kept saying, I don't think we need to unbox some things. I don't think we're going to be here long. Now, I don't know if that was just pushing, like whatever, but I knew that wasn't the place. For some reason in my head, I just knew we weren't going to be here. And look for hope, we wasn't. But immediately, I wanted to clean that out and start putting this stuff up. So it's like God has just settled me in every way in this house. They feel it, but at the same time, God has settled me in this home, and I thank God for that, because I have not felt this comfortable. I don't think I felt this comfortable since we've been here, and that's saying a lot. I don't really like Georgia, but I'm comfortable here, and that's not been the case, even at the other house. So I just bless God for it. So it's amazing. It's amazing what he's doing. I don't know what the transition is and what he has planned. All I know is I'm willing and ready for whatever the circumstance may be. So that's what's going on.
Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. We're gonna allow Shaniqua to come in with a testimony. See if you can sound boosting here. Can you hear us, Shaniqua? Hello? Hello?
I heard. I heard breath.
Hey, hold on. Let me see if I can get you in the speakerphone. I mean, in the sound system. Hold on for a second. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. Let's hear that testimony.
So, yesterday, Maya had a family day at her school. And we went to the school, and, there was a lot of miscommunication between, I hate to separate us, but our family from her family. And it wasn't her fault or anything like that. It was just, her mom has, and she didn't really relate out to us. But we were still able to go and go see Maya, which I'm very thankful for. Maya was telling us how she had even less, and they were told to because of the accident behavior at the school. So I'm glad that Maya was one of those kids. I'm glad that she spoke it out.
Hey, Shaniqua. Hold on one second. We can't hear you. Are you on speakerphone?
No.
Are you speaking? Can you speak? Try speaking louder into your phone because you sound like you're underwater.
Hello?
Yeah, there you go. Keep that going right there, whatever you did.
Okay. What was the last part y'all heard?
Yeah.
All right. We were able to see Maya, but even though there were a lot of difficulties as far as communication goes, when I saw Maya, she was telling us how since they've been there, a lot of people either a lot of the kids thought it was too tough or too much and they left, or they were told to leave because of their behavior, because of, I guess, whatever was going on. And she was saying how they've had like riots at the school, they've had fights at the school, and she was just telling me all the things that were going on. But I was glad because Maya wasn't involved in those situations. And, Maya still wanted to tough it out and make it through, so I was glad about that. And we got to talk to like some of her counselors and her teachers and things like that, and they were saying how, Maya was kind of rough the first couple of days or the first couple of weeks because of her attitude and her mouth, but they were just really complimenting her and saying how good of a child she was, how good of a student she was, and stuff like that. And they said that she had a lot of great potential. So I'm just really glad that that I was able to be there to see her. She was very happy. She told me the email that I sent to her made her cry, and she was telling me how she goes to church and stuff while she's there, and she's been praying and things like that. So I'm just really happy that I was able to hear her say those things, and I was able to see that, she really wanted to do this and really wanted to get through school, and that she was serious about it. So I was just really thankful that I was able to be there. for Maya. You know, besides me getting sick and me getting sunburned, it was all worth it to go see her. And then afterwards, I was able to talk to my grandmother and my aunt about a lot of things that I felt like kind of gave me closure. Things that I didn't even know needed to be said. They told me just about like the past and growing up and different things. They were just connecting different things that happened. And, when we talked about in her testimony how, she was able to get some realizations and things like that. Well, what Omi shared in Women's Fellowship, of course, affected me, and I didn't know it. So I was learning as she was, kind of telling her testimony to the women. So, I have been kind of dealing with that and to, talk to my aunt and my grandma about it. It's really kind of emotional. It was a really emotional talk that we had in a restaurant full of people. Like my grandma cried, I cried. It was just, it was a lot. But then at the same time, I think it needed to be said. And then, I'm learning that in my family, like a lot of people are holding grudges with each other and they're mad at each other. And, with the church telling us or talking to us about having an art with your brother and how we can't go to the altar like that. Like, I know I didn't have anything on my heart as far as me hating them, but it's just like a lot of things that have happened that we don't talk about. So the fact that we were able to talk about that last night, it was just like really comforting. And so I'm hoping that I can share these things with my sister. Granted, I know she wasn't there to be a part of the conversation, but I think that she would definitely like to hear some of the things that we talked about. So I'm just thankful that God gave me the opportunity yesterday, which was just not expected at all, but it was something that was really needed. So I'm just thankful for that.
Amen. Amen.
Praise the Lord for that testimony. Thank you, Shaniqua.
Amen.
Hallelujah. Thank you. Praise the Lord. Do you see what God is doing? Now the ministry that we have been partaking in is being spread outside. My Lord, I don't know what y'all women talking about, but man, praise the Lord that y'all doing what y'all supposed to do in that women's fellowship, and the Holy Spirit is moving and working. And look at the deliverance being overflown out of the church into the lives of those that you're communicating with outside the church. Praise the Lord. I forgot about to tell you. Come on.
I guess a couple of days ago, just to basically talk about what I was talking about with women's fellowship. I had a dramatic moment and actually burst out crying.
Hold on for a second. Children, you're making noise. I need you to be quiet. Okay? All children need to be quiet during church service. Thank you.
Good. Okay. So basically, I just had a whole dramatic moment in my room, and I was just crying because I actually thought about the whole.
I'm sorry, one more thing. Is she on telephone?
No, she's using my flash.
No, we want the kids to participate in church. When it's church time, we put the toy inside. And let me just explain that for a second. I'm not being, how can I say, just being a bad guy, but we want to teach our children early that when it's church time, nothing else matters. When it's time to worship, nothing else matters. Not no toys. Joshua woke up this morning, wanted to get on his phone and watch some stuff. I was like, no, we ain't doing that this morning. It's time for church. Get your mind right, get your heart right. So you teach these things really early. And so I want us as a church, our culture, our church culture, we want to make sure that the children, they may not be able to do everything that we do, but they can learn when it's time for church. We don't play with toys, we don't do this. I try to encourage my son, even though I don't see him doing it yet. It's praise and worship time. Sing along, son. Sing along. You want to go to sleep? No, it ain't sleepy time. No, we stand up. I'm sleepy. I don't care about you being sleepy. It's time for church. It ain't sleepy time. Right? So we want to teach that discipline early, so by the time they become teenagers, they ain't like a lot of teenagers that gotta figure it out. You know what I'm saying? They already in it. So you start real early. Just a side note. Now I want to hear your testimony.
We're gonna let you finish, Kim.
But I had a dramatic moment. I was basically, I don't know why really, but I had, I had a run through about the traumatic thing that happened to me, and I was just crying because I missed my dad, because it was just more of that he was actually there for me. And it's just like, I don't think about the good times with him. I actually really just think about like the bad times really. And it's just like, I was just crying because I was just like, he's actually been a dad. Like, I actually really didn't grasp that until that day really. And I was just like, wow, my dad actually been there for me. He actually was trying to discipline me, not just be so hard on me. And you know what I'm saying, stuff like that. So I just want to thank God just for that moment of just going back and remembering things to go now. So it's just like, yeah.
Man, that's a blessing.
Yeah.
That's powerful. Maybe grown folks don't wake up to realize the good, and all they do is focus on what they perceive to be the negative in their parents, and it affects their relationships for life. That is powerful.
So I just want to thank God for doing this fellowship, because just like Omi said, like if I didn't get that out, I would have kept that in. It's just been like building up. So I just want to.
And let's thank the Lord for the elder women in our church. My
Woo!
The wisdom, the discernment, the gifts in them are truly blessing our women. Pastor West and I can really just be like, man, go talk to them. Like, man, and it wasn't like that before. But the Lord showed us Titus chapter 2, and we just obeyed his word. And even when we started that women's fellowship initially, and it was all that drama, everybody had something to say and all that other good stuff. And as we continue to obey God's word, because God's word said do it, God's word's blessing came with it. And he's talking about the blessing right now. I believe that God is calling this church to be the example of what happens when you just do it because God's word said it.
Amen.
Praise the Lord. So, wow. You got another?
And then it's like kind of like, to be honest with you, like I'm really like, now I'm able to be transparent, like 100% transparent, because honestly I wouldn't have told them about my drama or whatever at school, like the whole thing. So I just want to thank God for me being actually transparent.
Yeah.
Like glad.
Yeah.
So yeah, because at first I was being transparent, but I was holding back a little bit. So I was like, I don't want y'all to judge me. But now I'll be like, let me tell you the real thing, So. Right.
Man, praise the Lord. Oh man, we're gonna get an extra one because Isaac just raised his hand up, and I'm gonna make sure he get his testimony. Come on, bro. What you got?
I thank the Lord for the fellowship I've been having with the people that live in this house and stuff. Me and my brothers and spending more time together and fellowshipping and stuff and getting along. When Age was around, sometimes we spend time, have a little chit chat. And me and Omi, in fellowship too, watching shows and stuff. And even Hillary, when she came over, spent time together, everything, and yeah. Thank God for fellowship.
All right.
Praise the Lord. Man, that's powerful.
You heard that shit too much?
Man, that's powerful. Wow. Bless the Lord, folks. Well, we're about to get into this message in a second. But before I do, I'm gonna ask Sarah to come up and just bless us right quick with some inspiration for the sermon, and then we're gonna go right into the message.
All right.
Woo! You better go, Pastor's daughter. Princess, let's go.
This was a surprise.
Today a man is somewhere proclaiming the good news. Memories to Jesus all around his neighborhood. He tells us that God is able to make their house a home. He wants to win his world for Christ, but he can't do it alone. But each one can reach one as we follow after Christ. We all can lead one. We can lead one to the Savior. Then together we can tell the world that Jesus is the way. If we each one reach one. Messages I'm changing, going into all the world and share the love of Jesus. From way door to door, you see, just like somebody told you, that Jesus loves you so. You must tell someone who will tell someone until the whole world knows that each one can reach one. As we follow after Christ, we all can lead one. We can lead one to the Savior. Then together we can tell the world that Jesus is the way. If we each one reach one. So will you go and labor? Will you hold high your light? One by one and two by two, we can win our world for Jesus Christ. Each one can reach one. As we follow after Christ, we all can lead one. We can all lead somebody to the Savior. Then together we can tell the world that Jesus is the only way. If we reach one, reach one.
Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. So if we can title today's message, it's kind of long. They're always long, it seems like. Use what you have. Use what you have. Use what you have, comma, or you can say use what you got.
Okay. Okay.
Use what you know.
Oh, that's not bad.
Use what you have. Use what you know. I want to start this message. We're going to read a story, an account. We're going to read an account in the book of Bible concerning David. Let us pray. Father, I want to thank you, Lord, for the moment. Thank you for the Spirit of God in the room. Thank you, Lord, for the gifts in your people. Thank you for the war that is before us and that you have equipped us to fight and wage the war. Lord, I thank you, Lord, that we are not just a people of God that are servants, but Lord, you've also called us to be soldiers. And Lord, I ask you, Father God, that you would allow us to call upon that which we have and that which we know to overcome the works of the devil, Lord God, to wage the good fight of faith that you have given us, Father, to destroy the works of the devil, Lord God, to proclaim the good news, to heal the sick and the brokenhearted, Father God, Lord, to reveal the light of Christ, Lord, in this world. Lord, I ask you, Lord, to equip us with everything that is needed, the infilling of the Holy Spirit, Father, the boldness of the Holy Spirit, the knowledge of the Word of God and truth, and the recollection of what you have done in our own lives, that we might continue ahead in fighting this war to defeat the enemy. Lord, I ask you to do these things, Lord God. Allow the Word of God that we're about to get into, your written word, to be food to our soul and spirit, Lord God, that we might have the strength to do these things in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. Yes. Amen. Amen. Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. I was talking with Pastor West today about some of the things that the Lord has been moving on me. I was at a play last night. My wife's mom was in a play and just did a phenomenal job in my objective and artistic opinion. She outshined everybody, including the lead, in her dramatic performance.
That's my name.
Just but one of the things that I saw, the play was, first of all, a spiritual play. It was a play that had the gospel message woven into the script. It was a play that also provoked the people to act in a specific way of love. Very powerful. The play was about organ donation. Donating your organs, and eat, or maybe whether you're living or dead. There's certain ways you can do that, right? Giving bone marrow, stuff like that. That was the drive. But there was a line that her mom spoke in the play, and it was about her character gave bone marrow for someone to live, and the motivation was that they might have an opportunity to live to accept Christ. And it struck me, it just hit me a certain way where I just never heard it said like that so simply. Why we would do humanitarian deeds as a church. Why would we go out and feed the poor? Why would we establish nonprofits, if you will, and I would say nonprofits, not necessarily incorporating with the state, but I'm talking about auxiliary ministries. How about that? Of the church that would serve the needs of the people, not for the needs' sake, but that they might have opportunity to come to Christ, or to be supported in a way where they can be used by God greatly by enhancing their talents, their skills, and whoever and whatever they have within themselves that God can use. It just hit me, just hit me in a certain way. And it brought my attention to our church. And I see the talent, I see the ability, I see the fruitfulness. I mean, these testimonies that we heard today, they were powerful because I'm telling you, you don't go to churches and hear these kind of testimonies. A lot. It's hard to hear. And we say this a lot, but I'm saying this as one that's been in church all my life. And I've heard a lot of testimonies about the Lord sending a check in the mail that was unexpected. I've heard that testimony before. I've heard testimonies about people going to the doctor and they were sick and they came out and the doctor said, I don't know what's going on, but you're healed and I don't know what are you doing? I just prayed. I didn't heard those testimonies and we praise God for those testimonies. But it's very rare that you hear the kind of testimonies that show the transformation of a wicked life to a godly life. Consistently, every week, more growth, continued humility is powerful. And what I'm realizing is that we're enjoying this amongst ourselves, and other people need to taste of what we got going on right here. There's a war that's going on. I'm on Facebook a lot. I talk to people, not just on Facebook, social media, all in other areas. I'm starting to talk with people in the business arena that God is moving us into. And when I actually get to sit and hear their hearts, I'm hearing a consistency of people being frustrated with church. I'm hearing a consistency of people having a problem with church, not because they hate God, but because they can't seem to find a place where the word is being taught the right way for the right reason. They can't seem to find a place where the pastors ain't saying one thing and doing the very opposite. They can't seem to find a place where the people of God actually love the God they say they come to worship. It's just, this is a peculiar thing, and it shouldn't be peculiar, but unfortunately, we're in a time where the churches in general are apostate. The great falling away that Christ talked about is present today. Pastor.
Can you define apostate?
Apostate. Oh, for those who don't know what the word apostate is, thank you, Pastor. I want to make sure everybody gets this. What I'm saying is there are churches that have fallen away from what the gospel message actually is. They have fallen away from the precepts and the instructions and the commandments of Christ to us, what is right and what is wrong, and they're doing whatever is pleasing in their own sight, even though it goes against God's clear word. This is the norm in the churches now, where it is hard to find a place to feel safe and comfortable in if you actually want to serve the Lord. So God has given us a great responsibility with as a Living Water Church. We can't just keep this to ourselves. There is a mandate, there's a hunger. People are starving for what we got. And I want to let you know in this message that God has equipped you to do the work.
Amen.
There's a war going on, and it's against God and his people. And there are many, listen to me now, there's some sincere people in the Seventh-day Adventist church, even though Seventh-day Adventism is wicked. There's some people that really want to serve God, but they just don't know any better. They're trapped in the Satan's trap in the Seventh-day Adventism. There's some people that go to that false pastor Creflo Dollar church, and they really love God. They want to serve him, but no one has presented themselves to lovingly and with meekness saying, that ain't right, you got to come on out, and then tell them the reasons why. And explain it to them. And I'm pretty sure, because of the many Bible studies we've had here and how I've heard the speech, that anyone in this church could actually do that. You can actually say, this is why a pastor's wrong. This is what he's saying, and this is what the Bible's teaching, actually written when it's in its context. You guys can do that. And so what the Lord is moving me, before I get into the contents of the message, I want to let you know what's going on right now. God is moving this church in a proactive evangelistic function. We have been equipping you. We have been watching you grow in righteousness and holiness. And for the most part, I can confidently send you out in overseeing ministry. And no, I won't have hypocrites doing the work. That is a huge blessing. I mean, can you imagine that? I mean, I've been in churches, man, where I knew people was sleeping with one another and they was on the praise team, in the choir. I mean, I was a part of a church where the pastor was sleeping with the teenagers in the church. And he actually had a teenager and her mother at the same time.
All right, we are in church.
No, we are in church. I need you to know why they need us. Listen, it's real out here. We haven't been spoiled, but a lot of you don't even know how real it is out there in wickedness and under what people call churches. I've been there and done that. Not me personally, but I've been in those environments and I've seen it in the leadership and in the churches. We have heat check. Y'all have fun together. Y'all learn the word of God together. I remember I wasn't even a teenager at this time. I was staying with my dad. We went on a holy convocation type of thing. And it's like a conference, a convention. It was a denominational ministry type of thing. And he allowed me, as his son, to stay with the youth. Stopped in a hotel. And I heard a girl lose her virginity. While we were on a church convention. Even showed, and after the day after, they even showed the sheets. Because the brothers wanted to prove that, yeah, I did it. This was going on in the house of God. I'm trying to let you know something. Y'all don't know how real it is, and because y'all been contained by the grace of God, we thank the Lord. Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. But y'all don't know about that. I'm trying to let you know that people don't want church for those reasons. Right. Not necessarily because they got a beef with God. I need you to get this so you can have some compassion on these people. I need you to understand that we got something that is unfortunately rare in this day and time. I was just talking to a brother today, and he said, man, I can't even go to church. I'm struggling with certain things, and one of the things I'm struggling with is lust. And how do you go to church, and because the women are dressed a certain way, you trying to worship God and fight lust at the same time. Because they won't dress modestly. Same sex as they talk about. Blasphemy to even say such a thing. I'm trying to show you something, that we have something. We have the wealth and the treasure of righteousness, holiness, and the blessing of God. And people are hungry for this. They don't know where it's at. Let me tell you why they don't know where it's at. So you can start to appreciate what God has done in how we do church. They don't know where it's at because churches have become businesses. Mm-hmm. Many churches operate like a business. They got marketing and everything. You ever seen billboards? Oh, yeah. I'm just trying to come against, if you were doing things God's way, you wouldn't use a billboard. Because that appeals to the flesh. And I get it. Jesus gave us a way to advance the kingdom of God and to build his house. It's through the preaching of the gospel to the lost. They get converted, guess what? They get added into a billboard can't preach the gospel. Never. You'll never see Rivers Living Water Church with me on it and my wife looking at any kind of quote. It ain't gonna happen. If I do that, I done lost my mind.
And I'll help you get it back.
Thank you. Praise the Lord. Thank you. I want you to understand that there should be a motivation of compassion. Because before I start getting into using what you already know and using what you already have, you got to have a reason.
That's right. That's right. That's good.
And I don't think y'all understand the reason. That's why I'm taking the time to let you know some things you ain't never seen in this house. Some people, sometimes I've heard people, come into the faith in this church. They're not here today, but I remember when they started to grow a little bit. Then they start to look at other people and say, how you gonna say you're a Christian and be all like that? They ain't. And I just remember it was you. You was just like that before you came in. Slow down now. Humble up. Remember why you were like that. Because you just didn't know any better. Yeah. You hadn't heard the word of God read to you in context. You were hearing people pimping the text. Taking one little verse out and then preaching the whole sermon without even addressing the context. So I've even heard sermons. Listen, God, preach off of an article. Like and. They made a whole sermon out of and. Or the. The is the article part. But the. The what? The. No, y'all didn't get it. The. Y'all still ain't get it. The. But y'all laughing, but I'm telling you, there's some churches out there that if I would have done that with the right kind of music behind me, they would have felt the Holy Spirit under the. I'm trying to tell you, see. And you wonder why they don't know anything, because they're getting messages based on the. Young people, do you understand that the things that you have learned, many people twice your age been in church all their life and they don't know? Why am I addressing you young people? Because you cannot be fat off the word. Because God will judge you as being a wicked servant. Because he gave you and you did nothing with it. In fact, when the scripture says he'll take what you got and he'll give it to somebody else that's going to do something with it. You don't want that, because that servant, if you remember the parable of the talents, y'all remember that? Yeah. He called him a wicked servant and cast him out into weeping and gnashing of teeth. You don't want that. What did Jesus do to the unfruitful tree? He cursed it. I want to give you now some fearful motivation. Yeah, there's a loving motivation, but y'all know we've learned that God, he motivates you with love, and he motivates you with what? Fear. So you haven't, to whom much is given, much is what? Required. I'm talking to you young people in particular, because y'all got a lot going on for you that your peers, and y'all walking to school concerned about yourselves. You walking to school, just all you think about is your grades and what they saying or might do to you. Listen to me now. God has given you much. It's a great requirement of you. We got some pastors' children in this church that's not out here. Do y'all know that there's a stereotype about preachers' kids? The stereotype about preachers' kids is that they're the worst ones. Now, I can confidently say that stereotype don't apply to any of the preachers' kids in this church. Listen well now. Listen well. There's some preachers' kids that need y'all ministry. Amen. Y'all going to school probably with some preachers' kids, but because you ain't been on your game, you probably don't even know it. You probably going to school with some preachers' kids right now, but because you haven't been on your mission, you don't even know it because you ain't had the right conversations to figure it out. Your motivation you ain't got no motivation. First things first, oh man, okay, Lord. Let me keep on going. I ain't get to the scriptures yet. I got to keep on going. You know, the Bible says that when you step into this faith with Christ, you don't live unto yourself anymore. Right. Y'all need to grab this. Amen. Y'all heard me saying my personal Lord and Savior. Y'all heard what we taught about that. Is that biblical? Do we ever hear anything about a personal Lord and Savior in the scriptures? No. The problem with a lot of your faith walk is that it's too personal. All you think about is you and God. My walk. Help me, Lord. None of the disciples could have done anything if they thought like that. That's right. This church could not have been built on the foundation of the apostles if all they were concerned about was their personal relationship with the Lord. Their personal struggles with sin. I'm trying to get your mind right. I'm trying to get your mind, because when I give you these tools, I need you to know what to do. I need you to be excited to do something with them. But I need you to understand that you are not living for yourself. We don't step into the body of Christ so that we can be self-absorbed a different way. In the world before Christ, it was about getting money, maybe having some happiness in this life, having great relationships. Some people in the world figure out that money ain't success, and they understand, well, true success is having great relationships with your family and being able to do what's passionately in your heart to do without having to be limited by the stuff that other people are limited by, when they're working regular jobs and stuff. I don't know if anybody even been around some gurus, those kind of guys. You've been in a couple of network marketing companies, you'll definitely hear that kind of talk. That is not wealth and riches. That's not success. When we come into the body of Christ, it's not about that even after your faith in Christ. God did not die on a cross so that you can have a rosy personal relationship with him. When he called the Apostle Paul, he said, I'm going to put you through great suffering for my people, for the kingdom of God. I got a lot of work that I'm going to use you for. God ain't never called nobody to be his servant so that they can just enjoy a personal relationship with the master. He called you to serve. Let me say, everybody say serve. Serve. And guess what? The service is to other people. That's how you serve God. You don't serve God with your personal relationship with him.
That's right.
Your personal obedience to God is expected of anybody. That ain't nothing. You're supposed to be personally obedient. You're supposed to be holy. You're supposed to be that. That's a given. I know they don't teach it that. They teach it like that's some great, amazing thing to actually live a holy life. That's a normal thing.
Mm-hmm.
If the seed of righteousness is in you, you're going to be righteous.
Mm-hmm.
But God has called you past just holiness and righteousness. He's called you to service.
Amen.
Who are you serving? I'm serving God. Well, if you ain't serving his people, you ain't serving God at all. What are you doing for his people? Jesus told Peter, feed my lamb. Feed my lambs. Check this out. He saw these men. I think Peter was one of them. They were out fishing. Everybody say, use what you got. Use what you got. Use what you know. So Peter out there fishing. He said, come follow me and I will make you what? Fishers of men. Y'all got a lot of ideas that y'all got. You got a lot of talents, some abilities. Y'all, you got some career goals, possibly. Whatever you got, you got. But if you're using it for yourself, you are not in the will of God.
Mm-hmm.
God has purpose for your skills.
That's right.
And you need to be a servant with everything you are and with everything you know.
Right.
It's all for the glory of God. And when I say glory of God, I gotta speak plain because people take that nigga, they apply it. So it's for serving God's people and for reaching the lost and making them God's people so that you can serve them too. That is really that simple. And also defending and preaching the glory of God and making sure nobody gets twisted. Let's go to the text. I think we can go to the text now. Yeah. I'm going to do a lot of reading because I want you to catch the story. I did pretty good. The Lord gave me some grace the last time.
It's the account, not the story.
That's it. Thank you. I'm going to read this historical account.
True story.
It's a true story.
There you go. It's a true story.
I'm very sensitive nowadays because you got so many people talking about our Bible like it's a bunch of fairy tales. That's why I'm sensitive to my wording. I'm on Facebook Live, so I want to make sure everybody understands that I'm contending for the truth of the matter. We're not talking about fables. We're talking about historical facts and accounts or true stories. Let's go to First Samuel. And just for the sake of time, I'm going to give you just a little understanding of what's happening at this particular point. We're going to be in chapter 17. In the previous chapter, in chapter 16, God had already rebuked Saul, the king of Israel. He told Saul to do one thing. Saul didn't do it exactly the way God said do it. So he took his anointing off of him, and he told Saul he was going to raise somebody else up to replace him. He sends Samuel, his prophet, his priest. Samuel is sent to go find him a replacement king for Saul. He finds the house of Jesse. Jesse has 8 children, 8 sons, if you will. 8 sons. When Samuel gets there, he looks at the first son, he's the oldest son. He looks, like he's the perfect guy for the job. The Lord tells him, don't look at man's outward appearance. Don't judge like that. I see the heart. He tells Samuel, I see the heart. That ain't it. So he goes down, I guess, probably from the eldest all the way down to the youngest. He gets down to the 7th one, the 7th son. And none of them are it. He asked Jesse, do you have anybody else? Because none of these guys are the ones that the Lord is choosing. He said, well, I got this young lad with the shepherd. With the sheep. He's shepherding the sheep. He says, well, bring him to me. Long story short, he brings him to him. Samuel anoints him as king. He's the man. That man name is David. Well, I could preach a whole sermon right there, as you know, but we're not going to do that. But I want you to know this is what's happening right now. So now in chapter 17, goodness grief, Lord, help me to be this man. In chapter 17, we're going to read verse 1. It says, now the Philistines gathered together. Who are the Philistines? The Philistines were the enemies of Israel. All right? They were warring. They were neighboring nations. The Philistines were their enemy. They were in war right now, just like we're in war with the Philistines today. The Philistines are those who have aligned themselves with Satan, and they're doing his work to stamp out the people of God. It's always been that way. Let's continue. Now the Philistines gathered together their armies to battle, and were gathered together at Shoko, which belongeth to Judah, and pitched between Shoko and Azekah in Ephathim, if I'm pronouncing these words correctly. His name correctly. I'm sorry. Ephathimim, thank you. Or Ephathimim. And Saul, in verse 2, and the men of Israel were gathered together and pitched by the valley of Elah, and set the battle in array against the Philistines. And the Philistines stood on a mountain on one side, and Israel stood on a mountain on the other side, and there was a valley between them. And there went out a champion out of the camp of the Philistines, named Goliath of Gath, whose height was 6 cubits in a span. And 6 cubits in a span is like
9 feet tall. I actually looked that one up.
9 feet tall. Huge. He was a giant. Continuing. Verse 5. And he had a helmet of brass upon his head. And he was armed with a coat of mail. And the weight of the coat was 5,000 shekels of brass. A lot of pounds. Right? Very heavy. Remember, he was 9 feet tall. And if he was wearing armor that was extremely heavy, and he was at war, that means he had to be able to move fast and quickly. So that means he was very strong. Very strong. That's not a tall, lanky guy. A tall, very strong man. Continuing on. I'm not going to sit there and analyze every piece of mail of his armor. And he had greaves of brass upon his legs in verse 6, and a target of brass between his shoulders. Verse 7, and the staff of his spear was like a weaver's beam, and his spear's head weighed 600 shekels, which is still a lot of pounds, of iron. And one bearing a shield went before him. And he stood and cried unto the armies of Israel, and said unto them, why are you come out to set your battle in array? Am not I a Philistine, and you servants of Saul? Choose you a man for you, and let him come down to me. If he be able to fight with me and to kill me, then we will be your servants. But if I prevail against him and kill him, then shall ye be our servants and serve us. And the Philistines said, I defy the armies of Israel this day, give me a man that we may fight together. When Saul and all Israel heard those words of the Philistine, they were dismayed and greatly afraid. Now David was the son of the Ephrathite of Bethlehem, Judah, whose name was Jesse, and he had 8 sons. And the man went among men for an old man in the days of Saul. And the 3 eldest sons of Jesse went and followed Saul to the battle. And the names of his 3 sons that went to the battle were Eliab, the firstborn, and next unto him Abinadab, and the third Shammah. And David was the youngest, and the 3 eldest followed Saul. But David went and returned from Saul to feed his father's sheep at Bethlehem. And the Philistine drew near morning and evening and presented himself 40 days. And Jesse said unto David his son, take now for thy brethren an ephah of this parched corn, these 10 loaves, and run to the camp to thy brethren. So for the younger folks, the ephah is a container or a measure. I didn't look that one up right quick. But they took some corn, he took some bread, he took some corn, took some food to his brethren. That's what his father was telling him to do. And yeah, it's a certain measure, by the way. All right, verse 18. And carry these 10 cheeses unto the captain of their 1,000, and look how thy brethren fare, and take their pledge. I want to pause right here as we're looking into this, and I want you to understand that God will take and has and is using your present, everyday, low value commands to bring you into your ultimate service. Unbeknownst to you, or unknown to you. I want you to really understand what, let me say that again. That's what a little face right there. God is using your everyday tasks to march you right into his purpose of service for you. And he's not telling you he's doing it. That's why you're supposed to do everything unto the glory of God. That's why you do everything unto the glory of God, because everything is for his glory. Don't look at the small stuff like it's not important. Your chore is to sweep the floor. Don't look at your execution of your home responsibility as being insignificant. We're going to see this later on. Let's continue in the text. Because oh my Lord, you don't understand. You don't understand. God has already equipped you and is equipping you right now with your stuff. Verse 19, now Saul and they and all the men of Israel were in the valley of Elah, fighting with the Philistines. Verse 20, and David rose up early in the morning and left the sheep with the keeper, and took and went as Jesse had commanded him. What did David do? He obeyed his father. He obeyed his father. He did what his father commanded him. Let me add this as we're reading. You need to be obedient to the authorities that are over you, because they are taking you right into what God has purposed you to do for his service.
Amen. Amen.
You need to understand something. You cannot buck against the authorities that God has placed over you. You got to serve. Oh my goodness. Serve now, and God will use you to serve later. Let's continue. In the middle of verse 20, and he came to the trench as the host was going forth to fight, and shouted for the battle. Verse 21, for Israel and the Philistines had put the battle in array, army against army. And David left his carriage in the hand of the keeper of the carriage and ran into the army and came and saluted his brethren. And as he talked with them, behold, there came up the champion, the Philistine of Gath, Goliath by name, out of the armies of the Philistines, and spake according to the same words, and David heard them. And all the men of Israel, when they saw the man, fled from him and were sore afraid. And the men of Israel said, have you seen this man that has come up? Surely to defy Israel is he come up? And it shall be that the man who killeth him, the king will enrich him with great riches, and will give him his daughter, and make his father's house free in Israel. And David spake to the men that stood by him, saying, well, what shall be done to the man that killeth this Philistine, and taketh away the reproach from Israel? For who is this uncircumcised Philistine, that he should defy the armies of the living God? Oh, come on. Who is this dude that's speaking against and challenging my God? Let me just pause right here again. God will never use anyone to be his man and his servant who's scared of those who challenge him.
That's right.
God will never use anybody to be his servant who is scared of people who challenge his authorities.
Right.
Who challenge his people.
Right.
Who challenge his church. Who challenge his word. You gotta be, God will never use you to do anything when you're around people that speak against him, that speak against his ways, that try to thwart the kingdom of God, and you sit there and keep quiet. God don't use punks. Cowards. We used to call them busters. He uses the bold. He uses those who have a mindset, how dare anybody speak against my God? Right. If that ain't you, you ain't going to be used by God. You have to be one that will not allow anyone around you to speak against your God or his people. Right? Look at what David said. Look at what David said. In the middle of verse 26. For who is this uncircumcised Philistine? Don't be scared to separate yourself from these wicked people in the world. See, David was he was making a point. This unclean dude speaking about our holy God, who the heck is this that dare speak about our God? Now, you're probably not going to talk like that if you live in an uncircumcised life. So check yourself. Because usually you won't feel this way to speak in such a way to make a distinction between you and the world if you just like the world. Yeah. In fact, you're going to have some compassion on why they do what they do. Man, you said, man, ain't nobody perfect. No. You ain't perfect. Don't say nobody ain't perfect. Because Jesus called his people to be perfect. You might want to look that up in the scriptures. He said, be ye holy as I am holy. Man, you were trying to be so holy. I am trying to be so holy. You better believe it. See, the foundation is a holy, sanctified life. We can see that David honored his God. He honored his God. He saw a distinction between them and him. He was circumcised, they were not. And Paul reveals that circumcision is just not in the flesh, it's in the heart. Whereas what we're finding is that David was not just physically circumcised, his heart was right before the Lord. This is why he was bold and everybody else was fearful. Oh my Lord, let's continue. What verse was that? Thank you. Verse 27, and the people answered him after this manner, saying, so shall it be done to the man that killeth him. And Eliab, his eldest brother, heard when he spake unto the men, and Eliab's anger was kindled against David, and said, why camest thou down hither? And with whom hast thou left those few sheep in the wilderness? I know thy pride and the naughtiness of thine heart, but thou wilt come down that thou mightest see the battle. So you just trying to be nosy, man. You just coming out. But did you leave somebody to take care of the sheep you're supposed to be taken care of? Verse 29, and David said, what have I done? Is there not a cause? And he turned from him toward another, and spake after the same manner, and the people answered him again after the former manner. See, David didn't get caught up in the foolishness of his brother, even though his brother judged him wrong. Because there was more important things on the matter. On his mind, man, what are you talking? I ain't do nothing to you. And he went back to finding out about what is going on with this guy that's speaking against our God and the children of Israel. Right? So let's continue back in the text. Thank you, ma'am. And he turned from him toward another and spake after the same manner, and the people answered him again after the former manner. And the words were, and when the words were heard which David spake, they rehearsed them before Saul, and he sent for him. And David said to Saul, let no man's heart fail because of him. Thy servant will go and fight with this Philistine. And Saul said to David, thou art not able to go against this Philistine to fight with him, for thou art but a youth, and he a man of war from his youth. And David said unto Saul, thy servant kept his father's sheep. Everybody say, thy servant kept his father's sheep. And there came a what? A lion and a bear, and took a lamb out of the flock. And I went out after him, and smote him, and delivered it out of his mouth. And when he arose against me, I caught him by his beard, and smote him and slew him. Thy servant slew both the lion and the bear. And this uncircumcised Philistine shall be as one of them, seeing he had defied the armies of the living God. See, y'all asking the Lord to use you, some of you. But y'all crying about the lions and bears that's going on in your life right now. How are you going to expect God to use you to do the real work, and you crying about the lions and bears in your life right now? What do you mean by the lions and bears? Well, what does God have you doing now, and what obstacles are in your way? Are you crying about it? No. Or are you walking and defeating them through faith? Are you trusting in the Lord? Are you at peace about your situation? Are you still doing what is right even though it might cause you consequence? Are you walking bold in your faith in school instead of keeping your mouth shut to keep cool? I'm talking about these mountains, these struggles, these trials that you're going through right now. You want God to use you. You said, Lord, I'm available. Use me. But you're crying and you're scared of the lions and tigers that's in your life right now. God is calling you to overcome your present circumstances and situations through faith. You're supposed to be sleeping in a storm, not worried about it. Well, it's raining. Oh, my goodness. Oh, what you going to do? Oh, I know. You called me to do this, but now I'm out of here. Oh, are you leaving me? I'm up. And then you start sinking in the water. Then you're going to be like Peter, saying, Lord, save me. That ain't victory. Some of you think it's victory because the Lord saved you. He pulled you out. You know, when he got pulled out, he got rebuked, right? He got saved and rebuked. Why didn't you just believe me, man? Why should I be saving you? You're supposed to be walking on this water all the way till you get to me. You should not have even doubted to get yourself in a position to sink in this water. Why are you doubting me? See, because when you get before Goliath, you're going to need some real faith. But God giving you some pre-Goliaths right now. It's time to overcome these things. While you in school, teenagers, you're gonna have to multitask. Oh, let me say this again. You're gonna have to multitask. How many times we got prayer as a church? 3 times a day. What was the instruction? Make it a what? Priority. Did I say you gotta be in every last one? No, but I said make it a what? Priority. That's above your school. I'm sorry. Kingdom of God first. What about church? I'm talking about y'all going to college. What about church? Priority. Kingdom of God. Multitask, because you still got to do your schoolwork. You still got to get that A. You still got to be excellent. But you better be excellent in the things of God. In fact, you better be excellent with the things of God first and also excellent in your school. Not the other way around. I'm talking about y'all college-bound students. Because you're still going to have to serve the Lord. Wait, let me add another multitask on there for you. Not only are you going to have to come to church, not only are you going to have to be consistent with your own personal prayer time and Bible study and all that other good stuff, but you're also going to have to preach the gospel. You're also going to have to disciple some people. You're also going to have to counsel some people with what God has given you. And you're going to have to take the time to make yourself available to other people and still get your A.
That's right, the A.
Because we about this excellence, right? Now let me give you a secret. If you put God first, he'll give you everything you need for the rest.
Amen.
Let me give you a secret. Let me give you a secret. Give you a secret. If you take care of God's business first, he's going to give you grace for the rest. I'm telling you, he's going to give you grace. Miraculous grace. Miraculous grace. He's going to give it to you. Get back to the text. Let me see if I can fast forward a little bit. We in the war. Let's go down to verse. Oh, let's just continue reading verse 37. David said, moreover, the Lord had delivered me out of the paw of the lion and out of the paw of the bear. He will deliver me out of the hand of this Philistine. And Saul said unto David, go and the Lord be with thee. I want you to see something. Unless you get some lions and some bears that God will deliver you out of now, you won't have any confidence that he will deliver you out of anything later. You need your trials right now to prove to yourself that God is faithful. Because when the bigger trials come later, you're going to need something to look back on to remember how good God was. Stop hating on your trials. Just be victorious in them. God is with you. God is with you.
Amen.
Don't cry about it. Listen, don't whine about it. Don't be scared about it. Go to sleep good. Be confident in the Lord and watch him begin to open up doors. Don't be ashamed. The Bible tells us, the Bible tells the people, God, don't be ashamed. Don't be ashamed of his name. Why does it do? Because sometimes the Lord puts you in shameful positions. And it's okay, because God is working. Let's continue on. In this week. Give me some time. Verse 38. And Saul armed David with his armor. Oh, here we go. And he put a helmet of brass upon his head. Also, he armed him with a coat of mail. And David girded his sword upon his armor. And he essayed to go, for he had not proved it. And David said unto Saul, I cannot go with these, for I have not what? Proved them. And David put them off him. And he took his staff in his hand and chose him 5 smooth stones out of the brook and put them in a shepherd's bag which he had, even a scrip. And his sling was in his hand, and he drew near to the Philistine. So I want to show you something again, my Lord. You know, sometimes you see so many cartoons about David and Goliath, and they actually tell the story wrong. They show that David couldn't fit the armor, and that's why, it was just too big. No, that's not what it was. It wasn't tested. The armor that Saul gave wasn't tested. In fact, David in his mind said, I don't know if that stuff gonna work for me. So he went with what he knew. And he used what he had. God already has given you what you need to win the war. Stop doubting what he has given you and stop desiring what he hasn't given you.
That's right.
You don't need nothing else to do the job.
Amen.
Listen to me. You don't need nothing else to do the job. Stop looking at other people's tools. Stop looking at other people's swords and armor. You're looking at what your enemy got, and you think you got to match what he got in order to beat him. The enemy got a coat of mail. He got a big shield and a sword. How am I going to fight this fight? And if I don't equip myself with the same weapons they got? A lot of Christian ministers think like that.
Yeah.
Christian rappers think like that. Pastors and preachers thinking. That's why so much of the world is coming into the church, and it's just making the church just not the house of God. And God has left those houses because He don't dwell in wickedness. We think we got to have the world in order to defeat the world. We don't need their weapons. We don't need their stuff. As we're going to continue reading, look at what happens here. He says, verse 41, and the Philistine came on and drew near unto David, and the man that bare the shield went before him. And when the Philistine looked about and saw David, he disdained him, for he was but a youth, and ruddy, and of a fair countenance. That ruddy means like red. He was light skinned. And of a fair countenance. He looked good. He's a pretty boy. That's literally what the scripture was saying. He was a light skinned Hebrew. Light skinned pretty boy. And light skinned pretty boys get a rap for being weak. Why? That ain't nothing new. That ain't nothing new. Because all the people back then, the majority of us were very dark skinned. The Philistines, the Hebrews, all of them were dark skinned black people. So they were looking at them all light skinned and pretty boy looking, and he young. Like, look at this little clown. I gotta tear him up and eat him alive. Why everybody calling my name? Listen to this. Verse 43. And the Philistine said unto David, am I a dog that thou comest to me with staves, sticks? And the Philistine cursed David by his gods. And the Philistine said to David, come to me, and I will give thy flesh unto the fowls of the air and to the beasts of the field. Then said David to the Philistine, thou comest to me with the sword, listen to this, and with the spear and with the shield, but I come to thee in the name of Jehovah of hosts, the God of the armies of Israel, whom thou hast defied. This day will the Lord, or Jehovah, deliver thee into my hand, and I will smite thee, and take thine head from thee, and I will give the carcasses of the host of the Philistines this day unto the fowls of the air, and to the wild beasts of the earth, that all of the earth may know that I'm the man. That ain't what he said, did he? That all the earth may know that I'm the champion. Wait. that all the earth may know that there is a God in Israel. Here's my second point, or another point. If you're concerned about what people think about you, you ain't gonna be used by God. In fact, a lot of you haven't been used by God because you are concerned about what people think about you.
Amen.
You're not concerned about letting the people know that there's a God in Israel. You're too concerned about what they think about you. See, and that's on a negative and a positive. See, if you care about what people think about you on a negative, you also care that you also hope for them to think about you a certain way on a positive. That's why you're concerned about what they think about you. Because you would like for them to think well of you. David wasn't concerned about getting his own fame. All he was concerned about is you are defying the God of Israel, and I'm not going to let it happen. Today, you're going to know that there is a God in Israel when I take your behind down. I'm going to kill you. I'm going to feed you to the carcasses. And when everybody see this, they're going to know our God did it. I got a question for you. Does that motivate you? The desire to make God and his reality known to the people around us? Do you even care about that? People talking about your God, talking about what's going on. Do you look for opportunities to make sure they understand how real God is? I remember one time in school, I think I told y'all about this time, a little small thing, I'll bring it up again so you have to understand the mindset. I had this Jehovah's Witness guy that I was dealing with in high school. We go back and forth about the Bible. And one time we had a conversation about healing. And I told him that God is a healer. But one day he came up with a migraine headache. He was just going through it that day. I said, oh yeah, you about to see how real my God is. I'm about to pray for his headache and it's going to get healed. I said, man, come on over here, man. Let me pray for your headache. Would you let me do that? Man, go ahead, man. I prayed for his headache. It ain't gonna work. I said, yes, it will, because my God is a healer. Prayed for that boy's headache. He went to class. Next time I saw him, yo, Antonio, what's up? Where that headache at? He said, dang, man, I ain't got no headache. My God is a healer. No, man, no. I prayed for your headache and God healed you, brother. I told you my God is a healer. See, where your mind at while you're in school? Because if it ain't on that right there, your mind is not right. I'm trying to show you, your mind got to be about giving God this glory. There's opportunities all around you, people talking bad about you. I remember having another conversation. There's somebody in the school, they were having a conversation about church and tithes. Y'all probably heard me talk about this. And at that time, I didn't know about the era of teaching the saints of God to give tithes and offering. But what I did know is that they were at least giving for the support of the ministry. That's biblical right there. So they were talking about, man, these churches, I never do my churches, but these pastors crooked. I started saying, what are you talking about my pastors for, man? They don't know nothing about our church. So I walked up to them. I said, man, how y'all talking about church and you don't even go there? Firstly. Secondly, if you really love God, you would give because you want to. And I'm thinking about two other points that I can't remember, but at the end of my points, he got real silent. And then he had that conversation for the rest of the class. And I moved on out the way and I sat down in my seat. Why? Because nobody gonna talk bad about my God and my church, and I'm not gonna say nothing about it. You just invited me into the conversation when you talk about my God. I'm jumping in. It don't even matter whether I was in the conversation or not because I heard it. And I know other people heard it. And I'm not going to let you talk bad about my God in my presence. That's the kind of man David was. That's the kind of men and women God is trying to use. And if you ain't like that, you're unusable. And that's why God not using you. But let's continue on in the text. What verse was that? 48. And it came to pass when the Philistine arose and came and drew nigh to meet David, that David hasted and ran toward the army to meet the Philistine. And David put in his hand, in his bag, put his hand in his bag, and took thence a stone and slang it, and smote the Philistine in his forehead, that the stone sunk into his forehead, and he fell upon his face to the earth. So David prevailed over the Philistine with a what? A sling and with a stone, and smote the Philistine and slew him, but there was no sword in the hand of David. David used what he knew and what he had. What he knew and what he had was able to empower him to defeat and kill the giant. God is not a respecter of persons, people. Look at what God has brought you through. What gave David the confidence to run? He wasn't even timid going to the giant. Everything he said, he believed. Mm-hmm. Ooh, do you believe the stuff you're saying to people? Some of y'all be saying stuff to people you don't even believe. My God is real. You really believe your God is real? Because the way you be acting, maybe I don't even think you really believe God is a protector. Do you believe the stuff that we keep talking about? David did. David did. What verse was that? So let me finish up. We're almost done, and it's not even 2:20 yet. Praise the Lord. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. So David prevailed over the Philistine with a sling and with a stone, and smote the Philistine and slew him, but there was no sword in the hand of David. Therefore, David ran and stood upon the Philistine, took his sword and drew it out of the sheath thereof, and slew him and cut off his head therewith. And when the Philistines saw their champion was dead, they fled. And the men of Israel, oh, now look what happened when one man stands up. If you happen to be a servant of the Lord and you happen to be confident, don't get so frustrated when everybody else scared. That's right. Be the winner and the champion for the people, and the people will follow. Amen. Somebody got to lead. Right. The only reason why you got a whole army of cowards is because ain't no leader. Right. Listen to me, especially when you're in these schools. Because we sending our leaders out of this church. Not yet. When y'all go to these colleges, y'all need to see yourself as David. There will be some people in Israel out in these colleges, both Jew and Gentile, some in graphic, some of them us. And it's going to be your job to lead by example. When they see you do it, then their confidence going to build up and they're going to follow suit. Right. Mm-hmm. Right. That's how it always happens. That's how it happened when I was in high school too. Same way. Same way. You be the example. Let people see you be bold, and then they realize, dang, well, I can do it too. Look at what happened here. And the men of Israel in verse 52, and Judah arose and shouted and pursued the Philistines until thou come to the valley and to the gates of Ekron. And the wounded of the Philistines fell down by the way of Sharon, or Sharaim, even unto Gath and unto Ekron. And the children of Israel returned from chasing after the Philistines, and they spoiled their tents. And David took the head of the Philistine and brought it to Jerusalem, but he put his armor in his tent. And when Saul saw David to go forth against the Philistine, he said unto Abner, the captain of the host, Abner, whose son is this youth? And Abner said, as thy soul liveth, O king, I cannot tell. And the king said, inquire thou whose son this stripling is, or stripling is. And David returned from the slaughter of the Philistine. Abner took him and brought him before Saul with the head of the Philistine in his hand. And Saul said to him, whose son art thou, thou young man? And David answered, I am the son of thy servant Jesse the Bethlehemite. Praise the Lord.
Amen. Amen.
So what I want to, again, we're going to conclude at this particular point. Let me give you some thoughts of conclusion. I'll open up some of my own imaginative thoughts this week. And I'm going to show you the contrast and how the Lord switched my thoughts after this message. And maybe it'll help you if you haven't already done it at this point. I've been telling my wife I got to get to work on this music.
Yes.
So Pastor West needs me to get in position so we can produce these tracks. There's so much stuff that we need to do. And I said, man, we need some money. And the Lord said, no, you don't. We need some extra equipment. The Lord said, no, you don't. Use what you have and use what you know. Mind me, the Lord, my computer, I can't, my Windows went down on me. Every time I turn it on, it says it's trying to update and it just goes into a loop, cuts off, and then it comes back on and says, we need to update, going to try to automatically. I can't even get my Windows to run on my computer. But you said focus on what you have and what you know. So I'm limited. But I got some stuff that I can do and use. The cars, transportation busted. The Lord's been giving grace in the middle of all that. Use the grace and do what I can and use what I know. Don't fret over anything else. Use what I have, use what I know. So what do I have? I got a program on my phone that allows me to record audio. And using that. Not to record singing vocals, that won't do. But I talked to Battle Mason. I remember I told her, she asked me to begin to, I don't know if I told you this. Yeah. She told me to begin to sing her some sermons. About 25-minute sermons. And she'll put that on a radio station one time a week. So I did that. My wife's laptop worked. I downloaded my audio software so I can edit their sermon. The Lord also told me and that it's time right now to start writing that book. Shara gave me she already got the laptop, so I'm gonna start writing that book. And whatever else you tell me I can do, I'm gonna start doing. And I'm gonna use what I got to do what I need to do. And when the Lord decides it's time to add more, guess what he's gonna do? He's gonna add more. Because guess what? David wasn't using his staff and rocks in his future wars. He was using swords. He had armor. And all that stuff. Whatever Goliath. But the point I'm making is this. You are fully equipped with the knowledge and the resources to move forward and conquer what God has already told you to do. You don't need nothing else but to use what you already know and what you already have to accomplish victory over the Goliath right now in front of your face. Some of you might not be in front of a Goliath. You might still be shepherding some sheep. You might still be doing menial tasks. It is your responsibility right now to be excellent doing the small stuff. When challenges come in the small stuff, to overcome those challenges so that you will be equipped with the knowledge and the confidence to take on the Goliath that's coming your way. And I also need you to know this, that the Goliath was not fought for David's own personal advantage. What was on the line was the slavery of his people to another nation. David wasn't fighting for himself. He was fighting for the armies of the Lord. Let me say it again. David wasn't fighting for himself. He was fighting for the armies of the Lord. Forget your grand career goals. Forget all that. Forget about your dreams, goals, and aspirations for yourself. That's not how we live. David was fighting for the armies of the Lord. When God puts you in a place of purpose, it is not for you. It is for the armies of the Lord. It is for his glory. Get you and your personal happiness out of the equation. We don't serve God with that in the mix. When you start putting your personal happiness in the mix, that's when stuff goes wrong. We serve unto our master and as love towards his people. That's what David fought the Goliath for. Let us pray. Father, we want to thank you for your word. We want to thank you for allowing us to see what happened in the lives of our ancestors of old. How you were able to work in their lives is the same way you are able to work in our lives. And not merely able, the same way you worked in their lives, you are working in our lives. The New Testament says it was for our example that we have this record of the patriarchs, that we have this record of women and men who have served you, Lord God, that we have this record of how you move among the nations for your purposes being fulfilled for your own good pleasure. And Lord, you have found us on the favorable side. Thank you, Lord. Lord, I ask you, Father God, that you would get us out of this frozen stupor that some of us find ourselves in, where we're not being progressive in your will, Lord God. We're sitting back, we're thinking, we're wondering, waiting for this to happen, waiting for this resource, waiting for this and to learn this and to learn. Lord, I ask you, Lord, to show us what we need to activate right now. Allow us to utilize the wisdom, the knowledge, and the understanding, and the resources, however small we think it might be. Lord, we ask you to give us the mindset to know that it is sufficient to get the job done for your glory. And that we would actually walk in that, according to your grace. Touch our teenagers. Touch our young adults, Lord, that they would grab the heart of David. If they already had the heart of David, Father God, that they would begin to move, oh God. If they've already begun to move, Lord God, that you would give them the grace to continue and not grow weary in well-doing. Lord, I ask you to help the elders in this church, Father God. Lord, we're going through stuff, Father. We're going through a lot of circumstances. Everyone else is. Help us not to be so caught up in our stuff that we don't actively and proactively seek out the people that's under our care. Allow us to open up our lives as an example for them to follow. The faith that we're having for our own stuff, Lord. Touch this house, Lord. Prepare us, Lord, for the people that are coming, because they're coming, Lord. Lord, if you're putting messages like this, Lord, you're about to put us to work. Every time you start to teach these things, we see the growth. It happens, oh God, and I thank you for it. I thank you for the maturity you bring into our church. I thank you, Lord, that we're going to start doing so many great, wonderful works, Lord, for the work of the ministry, that you're going to activate things in us that have been dormant, Lord God. I ask you to do these things in our lives, Lord. We thank you and praise you in Jesus' name.
Amen.
Amen. Praise the Lord.